All right. Hello, everybody. I know that some of you don't have the YouTube premiere. So, for those of you that don't have the YouTube premiere, going to wait just a couple seconds because it's about, I don't know, they always play a commercial at the beginning of the YouTubes. And like I say every week, every time I tune into somebody else, they're already mid conversation talking about whatever it is their introductory topic is. So, we'll wait just a couple seconds, but let me start saying hello to everybody. By the way, we'll first say hello to Andrew from Funnel Heads.
Hey.
Those of you that are regulars, I'm sure you've seen Andrew before. He's been on a few shows here. And yeah, we got to, I think, I mean, it's an interesting topic today, which I'll get into more in just a second. But Michael was first to check in. Then we had Ronnie. Ann is here. What's going on? Ann and I were on the Magic together. Um, let's see. We got Lido Tito is here. Lido Tito. Um, him and I were just on the New Year's Eve cruise. He's the one that got together the whole Roaring Twenties thing that we all did, and which was a bunch of fun. We got Wayne here. What's going on, Wayne? Frankie is here. Frankie Floyd. Z is here. I hope things are still going well, Z, with the sobriety and all that. Fireball Steve is here, and Fireball Steve, got your shot glass right here. Talk a little more about that. Usnavi is here. What is going on, Usnavi? And Christy is here. She just got back from a cruise. Have to let us know how that is. Angie is here, the Merry Mixer, and I will be on a cruise with Angie April 1st, along with the other two Charlie's Angels. Nick is here. What is going on, Nick? You made it. I know you weren't sure whether you would. Will G is here. He was also on that same New Year's Eve cruise we were all on. Trisha was on the cruise, the Magic, I think the Magic was. And we have Jeffrey's Angel here. All right, so I think we are caught up as far as the chat goes. And look at this, Frankie Floyd is getting us going, and that makes it a real easy transition into talking about the super chat, Frankie Floyd. And you are numbers 31 through 33, Frankie. And if that is strange to anybody, like, well, what's that mean? So I do a drawing every 100. So whenever we reach $100 worth of super chats, I do a drawing. And if I draw your corresponding number, so for example, Frankie just is getting numbers 31, 32, and 33. If I draw that number, then he gets the Coach Cruise t shirt, much like the one I have on, except I have a lot of different colors now. And yeah, that's how that works. Now, you see Sadie back here scratching my arm. That's because she sees a whole big plate of treats and hot dogs and stuff. I got a few hot dogs up here. If we get a $10 super chat, she gets a whole hot dog. Besides that, I give her little treats. So it's not like she's starving back her. She's getting little sausages and little cheeses the whole time. So she's going to be fine. But if you want to give her a big treat, that's how you do that. That's a $10 super chat. And for a $15 super chat now, you get her a big treat and you get me a treat. I'll do a shot of bourbon in your honor. And we got Lido Tito here. He's continuing us along. So Lido, let's mark you down here before we get into anything. 34, 35, 36, 34 through 38. All right. So you are numbers 34. Thank you for that, Lido. And we got a couple more people checked in. Yoli is here. Yoli is going to be on the New Year's Eve cruise with us on the celebration next year. Wayne is getting on the Mardi Gras next Saturday. Love the Mardi Gras. I think Kendall Fire's still the cruise director there.
I think Donkey just took over.
Oh, did he? Okay. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So you'll get Donkey. And yeah, okay. So the topic today and Mardi Gras is one of those mega ships that I'm thinking about. As we wanted to talk about, what type of ship might be best for you, or what type of ship do you prefer. Now, I guess we can get into it. Now, if I don't know how many of you have seen that picture. I know I shared it on the Coach Cruise Facebook page, and any of you are welcome to join if you're not already on the Coach Cruise Facebook page. And Andrew has a Facebook page as well with Funnel Heads. So yeah, join them both. And anyway, Carnival in that picture I shared, it has all the ships in the fleet, and the largest ship on the top is the Celebration and the Jubilee, coming in at 184K. What's the is that
gross tonnage?
Million? Yeah, it's what now?
Gross tonnage.
Gross tonnage. Okay, so 184,000 gross tons. The Celebration and the Jubilee, and then if you go all the way to the bottom, all right, you're going to get to the Elation and the Paradise that comes in at a measly 70 gross tons. So if you put the Elation and the Paradise together, it still wouldn't be as big as either the Celebration or Jubilee. As a matter of fact, the Elation and Paradise put together would barely be bigger than the Carnival Panorama, for example. Oh, look at this.
Sadie's getting dog.
Yeah. Angie, you have 39 through 48. Thank you so much for that. And look at this. This one's for the Merry Mixer. Look. Oh. I can't get any ever treats, but you can. I always tease Angie because she lives in Ohio and she always posts her Facebook cakes and cupcakes and all this stuff. And like I say, it's like TV show quality stuff. And I was like, do you send, do you ship? And she doesn't ship. So the only way you can get Angie's baked goods is if you live in Ohio and are willing to make the trip to pick them up. So thank you again for that, Angie. We have Ben from Green Bay. Okay. Well, Ben, I think we were talking about it. We might get the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. They're talking about possibly being a Raider. So, and then we got Sandy here of our TikTok CEO, TikTok Sandy. She is here. So hello, everybody. And yeah, I think we're caught up again. So real quick on the James from last week. And remember, anytime we don't do a shirt drawing the same show, last week we did 2 and started on a third one. But any week we don't, we just carry on. So James Pope from last week has numbers 1 through 30. And then we had Frankie, Lito, Tito, and Angie today. And then anybody else that jumps in. Angie is your number 39 through 48. Okay. So yeah, we're caught up. So I want to start talking about in chat. And then Andrew, if you've been on either of these, I think I've been on the Elation. But let's start at the bottom, the very smallest class of ship. And if anybody in chat has been on any ship that I mentioned, chime in, tell us what you think about it. But the Elation and the Paradise, you've been on either one of those, Andrew?
Yeah, so the Paradise when I was younger, so probably, 10 to 15. So a long time ago. I'm wanting to get on it again here shortly. And the Elation me and Michelle did before we had Rhett. So that was probably, though, still about 10 years ago on the Elation. So it's been a while that we've been on either of those two, but very familiar with their layout and size and all that since we just came off of the Ecstasy here, a few months back. So
very cool. Very cool. I think I've been on the Elation, and you can kind of correct me because it seems like you have more familiarity with the smaller ships, but they did when the Cheers did their 2.0 upgrade. Mm-hmm. They added like guys burgers and things like that to all the ships.
Yeah, so it was crazy because the first time, or maybe not the first time, but one of the first times we were on the Ecstasy, because it was based out of Charleston for a long time. So that was our home ship because it was so close to us, an hour and a half away. And we hadn't been on a smaller size ship that didn't have the fun 2.0 upgrades. And we went on the Ecstasy, and all of a sudden we I don't know if anybody remembers this in the chat or if you remember this, but before Guy's Burger, they used to just serve like hot dogs and hamburgers and like long French fries, kind of like McDonald's. And Michelle absolutely loves those fries, so she was so excited. She's the only person that doesn't really care for Guy's Burger, but it was just mind blowing, some of the features that were missing. But we still, of course, had an amazing time.
Yeah, and they do have the one big pool, and I think they have a pool in the back too, right?
So they have. I'm trying to think. On the Ecstasy, they have just the one pool, right? And then Michelle's nodding from me in the other room because I'm like, I can't think right now. Yeah, it's just the one main pool on the Lido deck, and the back or the aft, where there is usually a pool on other ships, is just the buffet area, and then a back bar that faces these floor to ceiling windows.
But don't they have a hot tub or something? I thought they had a couple hot tubs or something.
Hold on, Michelle's talking to me.
I'm going back through. Yeah, remember you sit out, you get your pizza, and you sit out.
Oh yeah, so on Serenity, there's two hot tubs on deck, like I don't know, whatever promenade is on the Ecstasy. There's two hot tubs down below, but they have these little jet outs on the side of the marketplace or whatnot, the buffet area, where you can like sit and have your food or whatnot, or your beverage. So it's a very interesting concept, but that was one of our favorite spots. It's kind of difficult if the ship is traveling because it's very windy, but if you get like a calm sea day, there's no better spot than to eat out on one of those patios.
Yeah, I vaguely remember. It's been a while.
I've been on it, and I can't even remember that well. So,
well, Frankie just came off it 10 days ago. So, Frankie, you can confirm or deny what we've just talked about here. But first, Keith, Sadie thanks you, and I thank you for giving me a taste. Well, I tried this bourbon last week. So, high five for Keith there. We both get one here. And Keith, you are numbers 49 through 68. Cheers to you, my friend. That's a good one. That's a good bourbon. I like it. All right. Yoli says the Elation was their very first cruise.
Oh, nice.
Okay, that's cool. And what do you think about the Elation, Yoli?
What was your first Carnival cruise, Brad?
Yeah, I want to say it was either the Freedom or the Conquest.
Okay.
Anita, and the funny thing about it is I'm way, way bigger into cruising than Anita, obviously. But the funny thing is I was always one of these staycation people. And she had asked me a few times about going on a cruise. I'm like, I don't know, whatever. And then once she's like, let's do something different. I'm like, okay. And then she booked us on, a Carnival, and it was a side by side, not a back to back, but a side by side. Mm-hmm. And I think it was either Freedom then Conquest, or Conquest and Freedom. I'm not sure exactly which, or maybe it was like Liberty and Conquest or something. It definitely had the patriotic theme
right
to it. But I did that, and the casino hooked me up with like a free cruise, and then back then it was one of those that you could do it immediately.
Oh wow.
So I was already on summer break, and I was like, well, let's just stay on. It's going to go back out for another 5 days or whatever. So I did my first back to back then, and then I was just kind of hooked on the whole cruising thing. Yeah. We have Tiesa. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Tiesa is so excited for the inaugural sailing of the Jubilee out of Galveston. Tiesa, I don't know if you frequent Island Time, but they have a group going on that, and I'll be on the celebration the week after that. Yoli will be on there. with us. But yeah, I'm excited about that. And Lito Tito and Usnavi, I know they're going to be and on that cruise with you. So you got a couple people here that are going to be on that. Yeah, there's Lito Tito right after. I didn't even see your comment. I promise I didn't, but there it is. He will be there. We got Rayleigh Creative Travel here.
Hey, Blaine, what's going on, man?
And yeah, Blaine, what is going on? And let's see, Frankie Floyd, Elation has 2 hot tubs on deck 9. Okay. that is confirmed. Christy says it was okay. It definitely needs a facelift. We had a great time, but there wasn't as many daytime activities for sea days. Oh, that's too bad. Tim G is in the house. Tim is here on the regular, and look at that. I'm scrolling through the comments. So Tim, I'm just seeing the super chat. TS, my favorite is the Carnival Dream class. And
I feel like that's a lot of people's favorites, including me and Michelle's.
Is it?
Yeah.
Sandra's first cruise was the Ecstasy. And then look at that, Tim G with a $19.90, $20 super chat. And it is treat time for both of us.
Oh, Sadie's
high five for Tim.
Oh,
there you go. And look at that big hot dog. Go down. Enjoy that. And Tim, I will enjoy my second shot of the day. This is getting fun here. And Tim just won another shirt. He won one of my first color purple, and I know Christy, she had been trying to tell me for a long time that I needed to get 69 through 88, Tim. You are. So we are only 12 away, and we'll do our first shirt drawing of the day. And Tim, this is my second shot today. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Very good. Very good. All right. We got a lot of people. And I tell you what, these last couple of weeks, you all have been so active in the chats. It makes it so much easier.
Oh, 1,000%. With interactions, it makes
oh my goodness
so smooth.
Yoli says we loved it, got hooked on cruising right away.
Nice. That's what we like to hear.
Christy first cruise was on the Triumph, which they renamed, and that was the Sunrise now. Isn't the Triumph the Sunrise now? I think.
I always get them confused, but I believe so.
We got Dogfather's Barbecue. I bet the Dogfather can make some good barbecue. That just sounds like a good name. Trisha, let's see. Will was also, his first was also the Triumph out of Galveston. It's the Sunshine now. Okay. And the Sunshine.
The Destiny is the Sunshine.
Okay. And then that has the nice Serenity area that actually has a pool.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite Serenity areas, even compared to the XL class.
Trisha was the Sensation out of Port Canaveral.
Sensation.
Keith Breeze was the first. And Z is trying to get on that Jubilee for the inaugural. That will be cool. All right. Let's see. So we covered and I'll tell you what, we're still at the bottom of the pyramid here. We covered the Elation and the Paradise. Not too many people. A lot of people talked about the Elation, not many on the Paradise. So the next class of ship, we're moving up in class here to the Legend, the Miracle, the Pride, and the Spirit. So the Spirit class ships. I've been on. Well, no, you know what? I was supposed to be on the Carnival Pride, and that's the cruise that I caught COVID. That was supposed to be a New Year's cruise out of Tampa. So I'm not sure I've been on the Pride yet, or if I did, I got to go back and check my cruise history. I know I've been on the Miracle when it was stationed out of Long Beach, and I went on that. Legend, I'm not sure I've been on. I know I've been on the Miracle. So I have been on the Spirit class. Any of those for you, Andrew?
Yeah, this Spirit class. We haven't done the Spirit, but we've done the Miracle and the the Legend, of course, and what was the other one that was in the class?
You
Sorry.
got Legend, Miracle, Pride, and Spirit. And basically the Luminosas basically in that same class.
Yeah. So we're going on the Pride this summer. So the only one we'll have to knock out is Spirit eventually. We really enjoy the Spirit class, really because they have those 2 pools on the Lido deck. They did that so they can, of course, get from cold to hot places, kind of rotate them around just like the Luminosa is going to be. But it really makes, the pool area feel a lot more relaxing because you have a lot more options for pools. And of course, it doesn't fit as many guests on those, ships, lots of open deck space. We really enjoy that like translucent funnel too. It's really unique. We have some amazing pictures, and the Legend always holds a special place in our heart because we got married on the Legend. Well, cool. But on the Legend to get there. So
yeah, and I've seen some of those pics on your on YouTube and on your Facebook.
Yeah.
Lido Tito is saying they'll be on the Luminosa in May, and I know that's going to Alaska because we've talked about that one. And I'll be on the Luminosa myself, so I'll get back on a smaller ship as well. And that
I didn't realize that Luminosa was 89K. I for some reason I never looked, but I.
Well, it's got. I think it's 93. So it's got the Legend, Miracle, Pride, and Spirit at 89K, and then the Luminosa at 93.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So it's in that same,
ballpark,
general area. But I mean, I did a ship tour on YouTube. I forget who the creators were. They did a pretty good tour, and it looks like a nice enough ship. They have an alchemy bar. That's important. And that's one of the things, like some of the older ships, some of the things they don't have that you might miss out on. Not all ships, unless they've changed it. I've been on a couple ships where they didn't have a steakhouse.
Yeah, they still didn't on like the Ecstasy. I don't think they have it on the Paradise or Elation as well. They just don't have space. Yeah. So you're gonna miss some of those amenities, but other things kind of make up for not having certain things. So.
Right. Yep. And so a steakhouse, that's one of the things, and I don't know how many people I've talked to people that they're like, no, I'm not, spending extra money on a steakhouse. The food's good enough in the MDR, and I understand that. Because you're going to drop about $100 and then, with tip, over that probably. So, it used to be less. It used to be only like $35. And it's jumped all the way up to 48. But, being a steak lover, and then not only that, but coming from Chicago, I mean, tell you a quick story. Anita was taking me out for my birthday one year, and she said, well, where do you want to go? I'm like, let's go to the steakhouse, and we had gone to this really popular steakhouse here called Gibson's in the past. I'm like, let's go to Gibson's. That was good last time we went. And it had been a while since we'd been there. And then we got there, I opened up the menu, and it's like, just for the steak alone, it's like $78, and then for like a king size lobster, about the same. And, they had some varieties of different cuts and things like that. And then a la carte, if you wanted some mashed potatoes, it was like $13, $14, for the side. So, I mean, just for one plate of food, for the steak and the side and everything else like that, was going to be over $100 per person. We didn't got to dessert or drinks or anything like that. And I told her, what a teacher's salary, and she's a flight attendant and everything. I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to enjoy this, knowing how much money we're spending on this. So I'm like, let's just get a dessert, and then we'll go somewhere else. And so that's what we did. And those desserts were amazing from Gibson's. They're gigantic. So we were able to have a nice dessert. So we ate our dessert before we had our dinner. And then we found like an Outback Steakhouse. And I walked in, and it was packed. And I remember saying, and she laughed out loud, I was like, these are our people, And I ordered about everything off the menu, and it was only like $100. So, you know, everything I wanted. So I was content with that. Now, obviously, the quality of the steak was going to be much better at Gibson's, and that's the thing. That's the thing why I always go to the steakhouse is I feel like the value, the quality of the steakhouse, usually on the Carnival ships is usually fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to get a Gibson's type meal, and the a la carte items are included for everything in there for your $48. If we went to a steakhouse in Chicago and got the same stuff that we get at Carnival, our bill would be triple that. That's no joke. I mean, if we went to a really good steakhouse. So that's my steakhouse story. Michael says I booked steakhouse for my birthday in April, and Michael's been very active in the Facebook group. Appreciate that, Michael.
Yeah, we usually do like one or, well, if it's like the Mardi Gras or celebration or whatnot, usually we'll do multiple specialty restaurants. But like if it's like a mid-size or older ship, usually we'll do like one night of kind of treating ourselves. We always feel bad because you're spending extra money when they have so much food everywhere else, but it is super nice to just kind of indulge for one evening, and the food is so much better. Like it's night and day.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And you know what? I have heard some bad stories. TS is chiming in that the dinner takes too long. And that has been the case. I know our Island Time crew, not the most recent cruise. The most recent cruise that we all did together, we had a fabulous steakhouse experience on the Carnival Breeze. And I shared a vlog on that if you haven't gotten a chance to see it. But they were on a Dream class ship, and I think it was the Dream actually. And they had a really poor experience in the steakhouse. I'm glad to say I haven't had a bad experience in the steakhouse. I've had, amazing experiences and good experiences. I haven't had a bad one yet.
Right.
Usually it's been pretty good. Let's see. Christy says we did the steakhouse last week and it was comped by the casino. And I swear, Christy gets the best hookups from the casino. She was sharing on Coach Crew's Facebook the elite package and showing some of the fantastic gifts that they gave. Sandra said that she stood up her steakhouse date on the last cruise. Ooh, Sandra.
Don't be afraid to run into that person for the rest of the cruise, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully it was the last night.
All right. Yeah, and Michael, I think you should look forward to it. Michael, to answer your question, they're not doing the art at the table anymore. That's one of the things that they took away. Yeah. And a lot of people are not happy about that. They still have the cheesecake. One of the things I'll say about the cheesecake, the cheesecake used to be ridiculous. It used to just be a massive slice of cheesecake after you'd eaten all that food, and it just comes to you and you're like, really? Like, how am I going to eat all of it? And sometimes you might take it to your room or whatever, but we probably aren't going to finish it there either. And now that the cheesecake it's still very good. It's just, a portion controlled size, which is fine, because after you eat that steakhouse with all the, appetizers and things like that, you really probably are not going to be hungry enough to eat that massive slice of cheesecake. And so it's a cost cutting move, I understand, but it's also a food waste thing that I get also. So yeah, just in case anybody was thinking that hasn't been to the steakhouse in a while, the cheesecake slices have gotten much smaller. It's still a decent size, but it's definitely don't blame the bar crawl on me, Sandra. for the reason that she stood up for the steakhouse. Yeah, so let's see. Oh, she says, okay, I get it. I went back. I won't repeat that, but all right.
About the steakhouse real quick on the Spirit class, like on the Legend and the Miracle. On the Miracle, they have Nick and Nora Steakhouse. They don't have the 555, but we love also on the Miracle and the Spirit class because the steakhouse is like under the funnel, and so you have like the tint red, pink coming out. It's just gorgeous for like a romantic evening or whatnot. So.
Yeah, that is very cool. I know exactly what you're talking about. That is a cool touch. And there's a few ships that have that, or is it just a couple?
I think
I've seen that more than once.
It's all the ones with the translucent, funnel, because they have like the clear steps. Well, you can get to it multiple ways, but you have the clear steps coming from like the atrium up to the steakhouse to make it even a little bit more, nice or whatnot.
Very cool. All right, so let's keep moving on the chain here, moving up the chain. After the Luminosa, we have and well, you know what? Let's start talking about a couple things before we move on to the ships. The next set of ships is going to be the Radiance, the Sunshine, and the Sunrise. I've been on the Sunshine. I forget what the Radiance used to be. And the Sunrise, I think,
Victory,
was it Victory? Okay, well then I have been on the Radiance. All right, so let's start talking about some of the pros and cons, and Andrew and I talked about this off air a little bit, but we'll go all the way to the top with your Celebration, your Mardi Gras that are currently, the top of the food chain in terms of cruise ships for Carnival, all the way down to some of these smaller ships. I'll say Luminosa because I'm actually going to be on the Celebration 1 month and then on the Luminosa the next month. So I'll be way up here, in terms of size, and then I'm going to be way down here. Now cabin accommodations, larger ships, better cabin accommodations.
I would say more modern, up to date. They have USBs, more plugs, LED lighting, this and that. A little more sleek look, like on the Mardi Gras and the Celebration, instead of the curtain, the shower curtain that wants to cling to you on the older ships. You have, the nice see-through door, the glass door. So all around, fresher look. Of course, there's different cabin accommodations, whether you're willing to pay for them or not. So you have more variety in that stance. But for us, I don't know about anybody in the chat or you yourself, but as far as like cabins, we probably wouldn't spend a ton of money on a cabin. It all, it comes down to pricing. What can I get for this price compared to, a cheaper price? When we first started cruising, when it was me and Michelle, we were just looking at interior. What can I afford to get on a ship? Now we kind of moved up to, the ocean view, the cove balcony, the standard balconies, aft balcony. But I don't think, honestly, we would move too much from there. So as far as cabin accommodations for us, that's not like a huge game changer. But
yeah, and one of the cabins, and I ran into somebody, I believe it was on the Magic. I want to say it was Ray and Renee, but they're going to be on one of the mega ships of Carnival, and they said that they're going to be in one of those presidential suites. And I forget when they said it was going to be, but they said, hey, we'll let you. I think it might have been, maybe it's a New Year's, I don't know, but they said like, hey, you want to do a room tour or whatever? I was like, yeah, I would definitely do a room tour of that. But that's the one with like the hot tub on the deck or whatever.
Yeah,
that would be crazy. So there's not too many rooms, if any, on some of the smaller class ships that are like that. So definitely the mega class ships, they can offer some just ridiculous extreme rooms that most of us will never get the opportunity to enjoy ourselves, right, unless we become like Tony and Lolita Loca and become big time YouTubers or whatever. So
we did real quick on the Ecstasy. We got to view, and it was from my understanding, it was the only ship to have an owner's suite, 2 owner suites, and it's right above the balcony. I don't know if you remember, but like the front of the ship had like this room above the kids' room, and it was all circular. And so we got to actually go in it. I didn't want to video it because, of course, he had all this personal stuff everywhere, but it was really cool to see. And that's where apparently, a lot of the board members would stay if they were on the ship and whatnot. So it was really cool to see. It was almost like a studio apartment or whatnot.
Yeah, and you know what? Something before we move on, Ann mentioned it, and then Christy, chimed in as well. that one of the things about some of the older ships that might be better is I've heard this from several people, and it does. The Mardi Gras, the room seems smaller, more narrow, and I've heard several people say that as well. Several people have complained about the showers seeming a little bit smaller. I didn't feel it was too bad. I was expecting it to be worse. I actually, like you said, I do like the glass door, but the shower is tiny. But the shower is tiny in the older ones too, in my opinion.
I don't know if the shower's smaller on the XL class. I think it just might. It may be, but I think it might just be that you have that shower door that's like closing, so I don't know, maybe, who knows. But the room is definitely like skinnier. The width has shrunk quite a bit because it's hard to even just get around the bed in those rooms.
Well, Anne says you can sit on the toilet and brush your teeth at the same time. Yeah, that's pretty small. Let's see. Michael is booked on, where are you at? Room 7434. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, in terms of rooms, especially your standard rooms or whatever, you can get maybe a little larger size room on some of the smaller ships compared to some of the newer ships, because they're cost cutting and saving money and trying to fit as many people in there as possible. So there's your cabin accommodations. Now, itinerary. Here's one of the spots where I feel the smaller ships win.
The smaller ships definitely have the advantage here, 100%.
Yeah, because the smaller ships can go places that the bigger ships can't go. You want to go to Alaska on the Mardi Gras? Not going to happen. Maybe the first Mardi Gras ship, that's now scrapped, you could have gone on, but you're not going on the current Mardi Gras because it's just not going to fit. It's not going to be able to navigate some of the small channels and things like that you have to navigate in Alaska. You want to go to, through the Panama Canal and the Carnival Celebration? Not going to happen. Not going to get through that canal in the Celebration. So there's some of these ships that because of size, they can't go certain places. And some of these, mega ships, that's what you end up with. So itinerary, the small ships definitely win for itinerary, except for distance, right? Because the larger ships, don't they have capacity to go a little further than the smaller ships, or am I wrong on that?
I don't know exactly about if they have the capacity to go farther with the different fuel that they're using, but I know specifically the Spirit class were built to go faster and farther than all of them. They were built sleeker, not only to go faster and farther, but also to get through that Panama Canal. I don't believe any other ships in the Carnival class can get through the canal. I might be wrong there, but yeah, I think, and there may be one day where, the big ships can go to other, ports. They're going to build them out. They're in the process of doing this, but we're talking, 5, 10, 15 years down the road. So again, if you want to go to like Costa Rica or, Belize or what, you're not going to get there in the XL class ships, which is unfortunate. So you see these same itineraries over and over and over again for, what's going to be the Jubilee, the Celebration, the Mardi Gras. You have basically 5 different places that it can go to, and that's about it for right now.
Right. All right. Yeah. And absolutely. So we'll score 1 for the small ships for itinerary. Now, food. We kind of already addressed this a little bit with some of the smaller ships not even having a steakhouse. So food, we definitely got to give. I think we got to give it. And anybody in chat, if you disagree, definitely chime in. But I think we got to give food to the mega ships because if nothing else, you got the variety, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just how many restaurants do we have on the Mardi Gras, for example, and the Celebration? We've got.
There's too many to count.
Well, obviously the main dining room, but you're going to have that on even the smaller ships as well. But specialty dining, you have bonsai sushi. A lot of smaller ships have bonsai sushi, but they have the teppanyaki grill as well. Oh yeah, you got Shaq's Chicken, which is only on a couple. It is on one smaller ship. I want to say the Radiance or
Yeah.
but then aside from that, it's just on the bigger ships. And the Shaq's chicken is amazing.
Oh,
Even though I think they took away the Uncle Jerome sandwich.
You know, I saw the menu looked like it changed, but then there was people that were commenting that you could still get it. So I don't know if it's just, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but I would be very upset because that's my favorite one.
Right? Yeah, it's my favorite too. The Uncle Jerome, for those of you going on either the celebration or the Mardi Gras. Most of the smaller ships have Guy's Burgers now because of the 2.0 upgrade. I think all the ships should have it. I think there used to be some ships that didn't have alchemy. Have all of them upgraded to alchemy? Do you know?
I believe all of them have, yeah.
Okay. That was one of the things about the Luminosa that I hadn't heard, for a while. Like if they got the alchemy, but then I saw the recent tour and they had an alchemy in there, so that's fine. I guess I can go to Alaska now. So, but yeah, I mean, you got Rudy's Sea Grill is one of the newer specialty restaurants. Of course, you have the steakhouse on those newer ships. You got Shebang, as Usnavi pointed out, Shaq's Chicken. You still have Guy's Burger. You still have Blue Iguana Cantina.
Street Eats.
Yeah, Frankie Floyd. All right. Hey, you know what, Frankie? I'm glad for that for a few reasons. Let's see. 89 through 90. 89. It's weird. Fives get me when I'm adding up these numbers because if somebody, is the first super chat, they're 1 through 5, right? And it makes sense. So you would think like 15 through 20 would be 5. Because it's 5 difference, 15 through 20, but 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, it's actually 6. So any number past 1 through 5, it seems like it's 4. It like plays with my head. So Frankie, you are 89 through 93 now. Also in addition to 31 through 33. And we only need 7 more in super chats, and we will have our shirt drawing. My wife prefers the smaller ships, but I like the ones that have the dive-in theater. Yeah, the dive-in theater is nice, especially if there's a good movie. I haven't seen a lot of dive-in movies lately, but when there's a good movie, that I haven't seen or just really enjoy, I might make a point to get up there and check that out. So
yeah, it's just nice to have, even if you don't use it. And every now and then they'll play, like, especially, if you have kids like we do, they'll play like, a Disney or Pixar, whatever movie up, during the day, which is nice as well.
Well, and Yoli mentions Emerald's was very good, and they were very good. We did go there on the Mardi Gras, and I'll probably go on the celebration again. And Yoli, also something he reminded me of because of that chat was she and her husband Andrew wanted to go with us to the Carnival Kitchen with Anita. We had booked the reservations to do the pie making thing where they teach you how to make an apple pie. And it's just like activities, or they have different classes. Like they have tailgating classes, they have barbecue classes, they have sushi making classes. They have all these different classes that you can, take part in. And unfortunately, they were sold out because they were going to join us. So Yoli will have to do that on the New Year's Eve. So keep an eye out on when they put those up for sale, and we'll book a class together, the 4 of us. That'll be fun. Christy has put us over the top.
Nice.
So we're going to do this drawing right now. So you are 94 through 100, but let's see, you are actually 101 through 103 as well on the next drawing. We got Christy. All right. So let's do that right now. All right. Let me go through the numbers so everybody's, confident in what they have. James from last week, he has numbers 1 through 30. Frankie from this week, today, 31, 32, 33. Lido Tito has 34 through 38. Angie has 39 through 48. And she just got a shirt from me in the mail that she ordered with the rest of the Charlie's Angels. Keith has numbers 49 through 68. Tim also just got a shirt from me, 69 through 88. Frankie also has 89 through 93. Christy has 94 through 100. And then, Christy, you are starting us off for the next drawing with numbers 101 through 103. But we're only going to do the drawing 1 through 100. And then I see Sandra jumped in here too. We'll get to you in just a second here. Siri, give me a random number 1 through 100. The number is 8.
Wow.
If everybody can see that. So Mr. James Pope won. And I don't know how many people were here last week, but James was throwing down on the super chats. So he earned that one. So yeah, the number was 8, and we got TikTok Sandy. TikTok Sandy has jumped in here, and numbers 104 through 113. All right. So we're well on our way to the second group. And let's see, we got Christy and we got Sandra. We got 2. You want them both at once here? Sadie, look. Do you see the slobber coming out that I'm trying to get away from? Get away. All right, the first one's Christy. High five for Christy. High five. All right, take that, and then we'll give you Sandra's once you're done. Well, thank you, ladies, for that. Let's see. Oh yeah, Lido Tito. I always forget. To say it. He's saying hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button. If you haven't already done that, minimize the screen, hit that like button. What it does is it helps other people get to see this show on a replay, or in some cases, if it's early in the show, it'll bring that feed up so people jump in and join the feed while it's going on as well. Let's see. Congrats, James. Yes, congrats, James. Everybody's good sports. Let's see. What's Yoli saying here? Okay. Her first cruise on the Ecstasy, not Elation. We forgive you, Yoli.
It's hard to remember. I find the best way, besides logging into Carnival to look, is that Shipmate app. I don't know if you guys use it or not, but even on Carnival, if you look what your cruise was in the past, it doesn't tell you your exact itinerary. So if you put it in Shipmate, it'll tell you what places you visited on that particular cruise, which is really helpful for ones a long time ago.
Yeah, that is. I didn't know that either. I've heard people talk about that, and that's the thing. You and I obviously, being cruise creators and being cruise lovers, we've been on more cruises than the average person, but it never fails. You can always learn something.
Oh yeah,
something that's out there that you didn't know about. Okay, so Keith says, is there a benefit for going through a travel agent? Keith, you know what? I started going through Island Time and Derek, and the thing I like about it is, if you know your travel agent, they're going to take care of you and kind of go above and beyond. And, I talked with Derek, and I know I have some other friends here that are travel agents as well. But I had some questions about certain things, and, I shoot him a text or I give him a call and I say, well, what about this or that? And he says, okay, you know what, here, I'll take care of it. And he does. And it's nice to be able to kind of reach that person. Sometimes with Carnival, and I'm probably in other cruise lines as well, I'm guessing, is, you call them up and sometimes you'll be on hold forever. Sometimes you get a hold of somebody and you might have a personal planner that you always go through, that might be through Carnival or some other agency. But I don't know. It's really kind of, I guess, your opinion. But I think if you find a good travel agent, it's not going to be any less of a deal, I don't think. I think most travel agents
would agree exactly what you're saying. They're going to provide you a service. You just have to get somebody that you like. And it's not going to be any cost to yourself. So it's just an added feature that they can help you out when you need them, and you may not need them, but it's nice to have, you know?
Right, right. And I did want to kind of give you a preview of next week's, what I hope to be next week's shows. So I don't know how many of you, and actually, you know what? Share in chat. Share in chat. I know at least one person, Usnavi. She cracked me up, and I don't know if I can say this on YouTube without getting in trouble, but we're with a big group of people, and a lot of people in our group, particularly the females, they were hunting some ducks, and it was funny because I kind of saw them. They weren't walking swiftly, you know. They kind of had that hesitation walk, kind of looking side to side, and you know, I didn't pay much attention to it until Usnavi. She's like, Usnavi, what did you say? You can put it in chat. Hopefully, it won't get censored or whatever. But it begins with a B. But she called out. It was all in good fun, but they were hunting ducks, and it just cracked me up. I made a joke of it the rest of the cruise or whatever, but they were so intent on finding these ducks. And it's hilarious to me that, you know, grown people like ourselves, you know, enjoy doing something that you would think would be so, you know, kid-like or whatever, you know, that everybody's trying to hunt these ducks and stuff. So I get such a kick out of that. And, you know, I get a kick out of it too when I'm like, oh, you know, I'm not set on going out on the hunt, but when I find one accidentally, you know, I get a kick out of it. So the reason I mention this is because I happen to know the creators, the people that started the duck craze that is being done on ships all across the United States and even all across the world. I know the people, and we are going to interview them, I hope, next week. There was a possibility it was even going to be this week, but there was something they were waiting on, and you know, so that might be happening next week.
That's
so
awesome.
For those of you that want to meet the creators of the duck hunting craze, tune in potentially next week, and as soon as I can confirm it for sure, I will post the show and everything. So tune in for that. Ann says, do travel assistants automatically update you if a price has gone down? You know what? I would say, I mean, some might, Ann, but you know, I mean, obviously it's different cruise lines are doing different things. And I'm sure, you know, if they're good and they're friends of yours or whatever, they're going to look out for you the best they can. But I would always do it yourself to save. And for those that don't know what Ann is referencing, so well, let's just say, to keep it simple, let's say, you know, I pay $2,000 for a cruise, and then I go on a month or two later and I say, oh, hey, you know, I could book this cruise now for only $1,600. I just paid $2,000. What most cruise lines will do is, if you call them up and say, hey, look, I paid $2,000 for this, only $1,600 now, they'll give you, say, $400 in onboard credit that you can use to accommodate the difference in price. Now, if you don't call, if you don't say anything, you're not going to get anything. You're going to pay that $2,000. You're not going to get any extra money or anything like that. So, you know, by having a travel assistant, as she's referencing, that will update you if the price has gone down, I would check that yourself, and that would be my personal opinion. And yeah, so, and backtracking to the duck creators, I'd actually met them on a cruise, and the funny thing about it was I didn't even know that they were the creators of this thing. And I was, you know, doing some research online, and I'm like, oh, that name looks familiar, and sure enough, it was. So it's an interesting story. So if we do that show next week, make sure you tune in. Let's see. Tiessa's booked on her first back-to-back on the Breeze in June. Large ocean view. Oh, very cool. Yeah. And Tiessa, I did my first solo on the Magic, and Ann was on that cruise, and that was a definite fun one. All right. So you know what? I don't even know where to go. So I wanted to go to let's talk entertainment because I think this is one where the mega ships definitely win, at least in my opinion.
No, yeah, 1,000%. There's just so much variety on the mega ships.
Yeah, yeah. So I will say this: I am very much looking forward to getting on the celebration. They have a couple new shows. This Carnival show I've heard is just awesome. And there were three shows, and Andrew was on the Mardi Gras before I was, and I know I was, you know, asking him 100 questions, and I was like, okay, what shows do I have to go to? And he's like, well, you got to go see Voodoo Moon, you got to see Love in Vegas, and there's another show, We Are One. But the Love in Vegas, I mean, they have Celestial Strings too, and Celestial Strings, I feel, is like an iconic, just unbelievable show. No matter what ship you put it on, that came out on the Carnival Vista, and then it's been on the Horizon. I think it's on the Panorama as well. It's on, the Mardi Gras, and I think it's even on the Celebration again. That show is just so good that they've moved that to several ships. But on the Mardi Gras, I know the Love in Vegas, that was the first show that I saw that had the aerial acrobats, where they put people on cables. And the coolest part about the introduction to that Love in Vegas show is there's a dude on a hang glider. I kid you not. He's on a freaking hang glider, and he's in the middle of, the Grand Central area spans 3 decks. It's, what is it, 6, 7, and 8, right? Yeah, 6, 7, 8, deck 6, 7, and 8. And yeah, so he's in the middle of these decks, and then the LCD screens are all look like crystal clear, like a canyon, and it looks like he's flying through this canyon. So if you're at the back behind him, it looks like a dude is flying through these canyons on a hang glider, and it's amazing. And then then they have the aerial acrobats. They're doing flips and everything up in the air. And then Voodoo Moon is more of a spookier type show, but they have these shadowy figures flying around, doing all kinds of like spooky stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really cool. And I mean, it's not just the aerial acrobats that make the shows. I mean, the shows themselves are very good as well. But what else would you say about that, Andrew? Or
I mean, the shows in Grand Central, amazing. Of course, in the main theater were great as well. We loved Grand Central though, because of course, again, we have a young one, so it's hard to get him to sit through a long show. Having it in Grand Central, they have like those, I would say like bar counters where you can just kind of stand next to, put a drink on, and just see glimpses of the show as you kind of walk by, which we absolutely love. But for us, we loved Family Feud in the main theater with the cruise director. Hilarious, getting guests involved in the show. I mean, we were all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And actually, Andrew, I'm glad you brought up Family Feud, because you brought me to a point that I wanted to address with one of the negatives or the cons of some of the bigger ships. And one thing I remember Andrew saying, because he was on the Mardi Gras, you were 3 weeks, right?
3 weeks, yeah.
3 weeks. So I was like, man, it seems like you're living on that ship. Well, I was on the Mardi Gras for 2 weeks, and I did not see a Family Feud show. Like, I saw the rehearsals for Family Feud, and obviously if I made a point to go to the Family Feud show, I could have done it. But on some of these mega ships, there's just so much to do, so many ways to be entertained. There's comedy going on, there's live theater going on, and not one theater, but 2 theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there's comedy going on in not one theater, but 2 theaters. And then there's, a club that you can go to later in the evening, and all these bars. And then there's stuff going up on the Lido deck.
Yeah.
There is so much to do that, I mean, to go on one of these mega ships, I feel like you need a minimum of 2 weeks to really hit everything. Because if you go 1 week, you're going to be like, well, we didn't do this, we didn't do this, we didn't do this. There's so much to do that you can't get it all in a week.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was so many times where we literally had like FOMO, fear of missing out, because you have, the Carnival Hub app, you have everything that you want to do, and you can only be one place at one time. And so you really have to prioritize what you want to do in that hour or in that half hour. And on the mega ships, the cruise director, he can't be everywhere either. So like on some of the older ships where you think the cruise director is going to be at, because that's a main thing, that's not the case on the mega ships because there's so much going on. So you may not see the cruise director, but he is working or she is working somewhere.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, that was actually one of the points. And this is Sandra's hot dog treat for you. So there you go. She had hopped down for a second. Yeah, the cruise directors, and that was one of the other things, the staff and the crew quality. And it makes sense. Like, if you're going to put $1 billion ship out on the water, you're going to probably want your best crew to show off that ship. And then not only that, but a lot of the crew that have been working with the fleet, they kind of want to be on the big shiny new toy as well. Okay. So, like Lee Mason, for example, he won the Carnival Celebration, and there's a lot of great cruise directors. I know there's a lot of discussion between who's going to get the Jubilee. Is it going to be Kindle Fire? Is it going to be Cookie? And then there's a couple others, Donkey you mentioned earlier, that are in the running for that. So, a lot of people are into that, because I tell you what, say what you will about cruise directors. I know some people say, I don't care. They don't do anything for me or whatever. But at certain events, and especially on the Mardi Gras, I tell you what, Lee Mason killed it. When we were on there, Lee Mason killed it. I mean, he brought so much energy. I don't know how this man can bring as much energy he does on a week-to-week basis. And that's one of the things that amazes me about, ship staff in general. Even the alchemists, and like the Alchemy Bar or any of the bars, how they can go through a whole, ship full of people for a week. And then a week later, a whole new crew comes in, and they just got to have the same happy faces and be as, personable and everything as they already are, and just pretend like, this next group's the most special group in the world. So, yeah, it's always just a really, really cool experience. So not to say that you're not going to find great cruise directors on smaller ships. For example, I just came off the Carnival Breeze, and it's, kind of in that middle class area, I would say, in terms of ship royalty in Carnival. And Lawrence was a great cruise director. He's a newer cruise director. I felt he did an awesome job. So yeah. What are, I know Donkey is one of your favorite cruise directors. Any other cruise directors you have that are kind of favorites of yours?
We'll just put it up there. So Lee Mason, Donkey, Flying Scotsman. Flying Scotsman was probably the most talented and entertaining cruise director that we've ever had. We just love Lee and Donkey because they're a little bit more personal to us anyway. Lee is so passionate, and like, he's the same on stage as off stage. He's lost his voice countless times because he stayed way too long talking to guests, after or before shows. But Flying Scotsman, if you see this guy on stage for even his sail away parties, he gives it all, sings, dance. He loves to entertain. He has an amazing show on just his sailings. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but he basically sings and dances while he's telling his story, basically, from being raised in Scotland. And it's about an hour-ish long. Absolutely mesmerizing. We had a great time. So, there's not been very many cruise directors, though, that we, had bad experiences. They all come from somewhere. So, like, the Breeze, for example, you know, they're getting their talent from, you know, those mid-class ships because they kind of move up that way. So
Right.
a lot of times you'll find somebody that's completely amazing on one of those, you know, mid-sized ships or even small.
Yeah, and that was just the case with Lawrence. And I put out a couple vlogs, the Rock and Glow party. I you know, filmed with him doing that. And I know Cookie was on the Breeze as recently as last year, and now he's going to be on the Horizon, which I'll be on April 1st. And I've heard so many good things about Cookie. Never gotten the opportunity to cruise with him, but I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to that. I heard he has great energy, and yeah. So, have you been with Cookie before?
Not yet. We've heard tremendous things about him, and Kendall Fire have not got to sail with either of them as of yet. So, really,
what mentioned Lee Mason. The thing about Lee Mason and Kendall Fire, more than any other cruise directors I've ever been around, they somehow, some way, I would always see them where I was on the ship. Like, they have so much to do, as you mentioned, you know, they have shows to host, things like that. But Kendall Fire and Lee Mason, if they see you, you know, in the elevator lobby, or, you know, in Kendall Fire's case, you know, when we were on the Vista with her, my buddy and I were in the line at the coffee thing. She'd already walked past us, and she just kind of turned and looked over, and she saw us there. And me and the buddy I was with, you know, I'm 6'5", and my buddy's 6'7". She's like, my God, you guys. She turned around, came back, and started talking to us. I don't even remember what the top of the conversation was, but she had some of her fun squad with her, and she was obviously off to something else. But just taking those few seconds to, you know, mingle with, you know, and obviously you can't do that when you have 5,000, 6,000 people. You're not going to be able to do that with everybody, but to be able to make that connection with individuals, you know, I mean, that makes them feel special, and, you know, you feel like you have a more connection. But those two do it as well as anybody I've seen in Kendall Fire. So Frankie Floyd loves Cookie. I'll tell you what, everybody, and this is what's been so great about everybody chirping in on the chat, is it makes the hour go so fast. We've actually gone over. We're over by 7 minutes, and we didn't even get into some of the stuff that I was going to talk about. We did, you know, kind of talk about the difference, you know, some of the amenities and things that are better about the mega ships, but then some of the things that are better about the smaller ships. I think we can, Andrew, you and I can probably both agree, and we have agreed, you're going to have a great cruise no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
And whether it's a smaller ship or a larger ship, like I said, I'll be on pretty much the top end and the bottom end size-wise from the Celebration of Luminosa, but I'm sure I'm going to have a great cruise either way. It's just some of the amenities I might have in one, I might not have in the other, but, you know, what's not offered in one, I might get a better something out of the other. So anything again, Andrew is the channel Funnelheads. He's got over 300. Heck, you might have over 400 videos out there.
Yeah, I think I have close to 450. Actually.
Oh, 450. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think so. It's getting close, but I'm trying to work on quality over quantity now. So.
Absolutely. So yeah, he's got an extensive library of videos that have tips and excursions and tours and everything you could want to hope for in cruising. And so definitely, if you haven't already checked out Andrew at Funnelheads, go do that. And yeah, that's about it for this week. Like I said, we hope to have the Cruising Duck Phenomenon creators in an interview next week. If we don't, I will let you know. But we will call it a night. Andrew, thank you again.
Oh yeah,
me. And everybody that's been in the chat, you know, again, I love how active everybody has been today. I have a would you rather. Well, actually, you know what? I can save this would you rather for next week. So let me go to a different would you rather. This is a simple one, since we got Angie in the chat today, and she is the Merry Mixer. Would you rather on a ship have an ice cream cone or a cupcake? we will end the night on this. Would you rather, if assuming both are going to be very good, if you have your choice, you know they're going to be an exceptional ice cream cone or exceptional cupcake, would you rather have an ice cream cone or a cupcake? Wow, I'm surprised. That's the most surprising. Angie says the ice cream, and she's the one that does the baking. We got ice cream, cupcake, ice cream. It looks like the ice cream is going to win if the early indications.
I'd have
ice cream. A lot of ice cream. Well, I guess there are a lot of Caribbean cruises and not as many Alaskan cruises. Everybody picked ice cream. Okay, so I guess ice cream's going to win it in a slam dunk. Although Ashley says cupcake, and we had a couple cupcake. Well, if Angie was making the cupcakes, I would choose cupcake, but I like ice cream otherwise too. But yeah, we'll make that the only would you rather, because like I said, we're over 10 minutes now. And again, thank you everyone for the super chats. We have Christy, she's numbers 101 through 103, and Sandra, TikTok Sandy, is numbers 104 through 113 for the next shirt drawing next week. And we have James, who won this week's shirt drawing. So yeah, thank you everybody for the super chats, and we'll see everybody next week, I hope. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for interacting, everyone. Have a great night.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody.